We're going to deconstruct how Notepad++, a tool that millions of us trust and use every single day, had its own update system hijacked and turned into a weapon for a seriously sophisticated cyber espionage campaign.
In this story, it really kicks off with this message right here. This is from the developer of Notepad++, and man, it just perfectly sets the stage for what we're about to get into, a story of trust, betrayal, and a really high-stakes digital investigation that was happening completely behind the scenes.
You know, Notepad++ is a staple for so many people because it's lightweight, it's powerful, and it's open source. It's built on trust. And that's exactly what makes this so shocking, that its own update mechanism, the very thing meant to keep it secure, was turned against its users. So how on earth did this happen? Let's break it down.
Right, so this wasn't some quick smash and grab job, no way. This was a patient, months-long campaign. The attackers first got into the hosting provider way back in June, and for the next 4 months, they were just in there, pushing out malicious updates in waves. It took all the way until December to finally kick them out for good.
So as these malicious updates started getting flagged and blocked, security researchers, in this case from Kaspersky, they started following the digital breadcrumbs. And what they found was, honestly, a super adaptive and skilled adversary, a group that was constantly changing its tactics to stay one step ahead and keep their foothold inside the system.
What's so fascinating here is you can literally see the cat and mouse game playing out. The attackers didn't just stick with one method. They started out by exploiting a bug in a totally unrelated photo software. Once that got sniffed out, boom! They pivoted. They started using a legitimate scripting language to hide their malicious code in plain sight. And when that started getting caught, they fell back on a tried and true classic, DLL sideloading. This constant evolution, that's the hallmark of a really skilled and persistent threat actor.
Okay, let's zoom in on that third infection chain, because it is a masterclass in modern malware delivery. By picking this one apart, researchers were able to figure out the true goal of this whole operation.
So, first things first, what is DLL sideloading? Well, think of it like this. A program needs a specific tool from its toolbox. That's the DLL. What the attacker does is they place a malicious tool that looks identical, has the same name, right next to the program. The program, being efficient, just grabs the closest tool it sees, and just like that, the attacker's code is running. It's a simple but incredibly effective trick.
And this just lays out the whole elegant plan. It starts with the real Notepad++ updater, gup.exe, doing its job, but it gets tricked into downloading a malicious update file. That file then creates a hidden folder and drops in a legitimate signed program from Bitdefender, but they renamed it to bluetoothservice.exe to look boring. And right next to it, they drop their malicious log.dll. So when the fake Bluetooth service starts up, it accidentally loads the malicious DLL right next to it, which then decrypts and unleashes the final payload, a custom backdoor named Chrysalis.
So what was all this for? I mean, what was the ultimate goal? Well, the attackers weren't just using one tool. Their arsenal was this mix of powerful, off-the-shelf malware and their own custom-built weapon. And that combo gave them incredible flexibility once they were inside a network.
In the early stages, they used Cobalt Strike. It's a really powerful but also well-known hacking tool. But for their grand finale, they rolled out Chrysalis. Now this was their ace in the hole. It was a custom-built, never-before-seen backdoor designed for one thing and one thing only: long-term, stealthy spying. This is the kind of thing that separates the amateurs from the nation-state level actors.
And Chrysalis, I mean, this was the crown jewel of the operation. It wasn't just some simple dropper, it was a full-featured espionage toolkit. It gave the attackers a live command line on the victim's machine, the ability to run any program, steal any file, and, this is absolutely key, a complete self-destruct mechanism to erase every single trace that it was ever there.
Okay, so with the attack vector understood and the malware dissected, 2 huge questions were left. First, who is behind this incredibly patient and targeted campaign? And second, what has been done to make sure something like this can't happen again?
So, who was it? Well, researchers at Rapid7 point the finger at a group they track as Lotus Blossom, which is widely believed to be backed by the Chinese state. The technical evidence, like their very specific tactic of using a renamed Bitdefender tool for sideloading, created a strong link. This kind of long game, resource-intensive attack, it just fits the profile perfectly. So let's talk about the incident response, because it was swift and it was decisive. The Notepad++ website was immediately moved to a brand new, much more secure hosting provider. Every single credential the attackers might have had was revoked, and most critically, the update process itself got a massive security overhaul. The updater now validates not just the certificate, but the full digital signature of the installer. Plus, the file it gets from the server is also digitally signed, which slams the door shut on this exact kind of hijacking.
Look, the Notepad++ attack is a huge wake-up call for all of us. Every single time your computer or your phone automatically updates an app, you are placing your trust in a long, invisible supply chain. And this incident shows just how fragile that trust can be. It really leaves us with a critical question to think about. In a world of constant, silent, automatic updates, how can you ever be sure who's really on the other end signing the code?